Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. This is my favorite holiday, not just because of the food, but also because of the history. You see, 4 centuries ago, the Pilgrims of the Mayflower landed at Plymouth Rock. They were fleeing religious persecution from the Old World, which is to say, they were seeking freedom in the New World. And all these years after the Mayflower's voyage, the world has changed, but the reason to come to America remains the same. It's freedom. That's it. That's the whole deal. Freedom and the opportunities that come with it. Think about it. Why else would you come here? We have a mediocre K through 12 education system. We have a good healthcare system if you're rich and a middling one if you're poor. By the way, we should fix these things. We have a social safety net, but I've talked with a lot of people who've immigrated to this country, and I've never heard a single one say they came to America for Medicare or for Social Security. Most pilgrims, both old and new, came here for the freedom. They came here because they couldn't say what they thought, worship their God, or pursue happiness in their former country. They came here because they don't want to be imprisoned or killed for being a member of the wrong party or wrong religion. Take these freedoms away, and America is a middle-of-the-road European country without the fancy historic architecture. So it's fair to say that we take our freedom seriously in America. It's the thing that sets us apart. We haven't always gotten it right. There are dark chapters in our experiment in self-government. But for those who come here, freedom is still the ultimate prize. For those lucky enough to be born here, American freedom is an inheritance worth more than all the riches in Silicon Valley. Now, for the past few months, we, a free people, have willingly accepted restrictions and lockdowns in order to slow the spread of a deadly virus. Some of this was necessary, some was not. And now we have governors and county health bureaucrats telling us we cannot congregate with our families to celebrate Thanksgiving. Those skeptical of such policies are scapegoated as anti-science. But the skepticism is healthy. And the argument is worth having, especially when the same government leaders canceling Thanksgiving, Newsom, Murphy, Lightfoot, are ignoring their own rules. The hypocrisy of the ruling class is hard to stomach. The very idea of a ruling class is anti-American. And these are the same people that often selectively choose between which protests to allow based on their political preferences. So this is not about mashed potatoes and gravy. It's about the freedom to peaceably assemble with whom you choose in your own house. Freedom doesn't get more basic than that. If you aren't free to peaceably assemble in your own house, it's only a matter of time before other freedoms erode. Today's turkey dinner is tomorrow's political meeting. Now, many will say that these rules from governors will not actually be enforced, and maybe that's so, but if they can make the rule this time, trust me, it will be enforced next time. Others will say this is a small price to pay to stay safe and save lives. There will always be voices calling to trade freedom for safety. Many of them have columns in prestigious newspapers and blue check marks on Twitter, but this is a false choice. We can have both freedom and safety. Because freedom also has a flip side, responsibility. This is the flip side that has caused freedom to go out of fashion lately. If you're free to choose, you're also responsible for your choice, for educating yourself. And the way we protect freedom is acting responsibly. That means wearing masks when appropriate during a pandemic, not because the government said we had to, but because it's the responsible thing to do. That means limiting our contact with the elderly and vulnerable. That means being thoughtful about hand washing, maintaining distance from others where possible, and thinking twice about high-risk activities. In my family, for example, we're scaling back our Thanksgiving significantly. We're taking precautions, and I think you should too. But who you gather with in your home to give thanks is none of my business. It's none of the government's business. And when addressing a free people about matters essential to their liberty, government leaders must persuade, not coerce. The refrain, trust science, is not enough. It's a political cudgel meant to cut off debate. There's a place for science to inform policy decisions, but science doesn't have a say about freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. There's a reason they don't teach the First Amendment in chemistry class. In America, we get to have our debates and make our mistakes out in the open for everyone to see. It's all very messy. Sometimes it's even embarrassing. But it's freedom. And the alternative is much worse. A ruling class exempt from the rules, sitting in back rooms, deciding what we can and can't do, deciding where we can and can't go, deciding what we can and can't say. After 400 years, we're left with the original idea: freedom. It's still what makes us unique. The reason to come to America and the reason to stay. It's still something to be thankful for and something to fight for. Happy Thanksgiving.